Hey there. So, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be releasing a bunch of conversations and a bunch of the stories that I feature in my book, Magnet. This is all in preparation for us to get all the guests lined up for season one. So, I hope you enjoy some of these conversations. This one that we're going to start with is about dreams. And you're probably asking, well, why talk about dreams that doesn't really have anything to do with the paranormal? Well, what I've found is that during the course of my life, I've had a few dreams that just didn't seem quite like dreams. They seemed more intense, they seemed more real. And the whole key to them was that they have stuck with me for a very, very long time. One that I talk about in this upcoming conversation you're going to see is one from childhood. It's from grade school, but yet I still remember it vividly. Why? Because it was crazy. So, I hope you enjoy Will and my conversation around dreams. And I would encourage you that if you've had some crazy ass dreams, please let us know. Please come on the show and let's talk about them. I'd love to hear from you. All right, here we go. Here's our conversation about dreams. Okay, so today we're not going to do a full episode. We're actually going to just have a conversation. I wanted to have a conversation about dreams. Dreams they can be a handful of different things. They can be a message that your subconscious is trying to get to your conscious. It could be the mind just simply at play, or it could be something else. And dreams that feel like there's something else tend to stay with you, either positively or negatively, for a much longer period of time. So I know that during the course of my life, I've had some very interesting dreams that have just clung to me throughout my entire life. So I invited Will to join me and just to talk about, things that he's dreamt and that have stuck with him as well, because I think this is something that happens to everybody. Everybody's got something that, will shake you and just stay with you, or, it's just so crazy that, it's like, was that a dream? Was I dreaming? So there's all types of things that start that way. So I'm going to start off. And the first dream I'm going to tell you about happened to me in grade school. And, it's hard to say in hindsight what was really going on psychologically with me at the time. As I mentioned in kind of the overview of why I'm doing this, I made the statement that I was molested when I was 6. This dream occurred after that. So, since I've been putting all this together and doing a lot of self-examination of, choices I've made and why I made some of those choices, working with therapy and whatnot, I now think that this dream stems from the monsters that weren't really monsters, that this is trauma that has been manifest in the form of probably the single scariest dream that I've ever had in my life. And it was, at that age. So here's what went down. In the old Raymore Elementary School, in the basement was the original cafeteria. And you would go through these double doors, and they had tables there. You would go through the line, and then you would sit down at the tables. And then when you were done, there was a conveyor belt. You would walk over and you would put your lunch on. And so I brought mine a lot. So I didn't need to go over there and put my stuff on the conveyor belt. I just would throw away my trash, that I would have. My mom packed up. Back then, we used to have these metal lunch boxes that you would bring your stuff in. So I'd have like a bologna sandwich or.
You got me a Superman one.
I did. Good. Yeah, because I want you to have that same experience of having that lunch box, So
I didn't like it.
No, you wanted McDonald's or something like that. You thought you should have that for every day for lunch.
Yeah, so, I did. I still think that way.
So the dream basically was this, that I was having lunch there in the cafeteria with my friends, and all of a sudden this gentleman walks through the door, and he closes the double doors behind him and locks them by bending the metal. And one by one, he's basically a vampire, and he moves fast. So he's basically grabbing kids and teachers and just, snapping their neck and just turning their head to the side and just ripping their throats out. And which is extremely graphic for a child to be having this type of dream. And so it's just pandemonium in there. And so I get the novel idea to try to escape by jumping up on the conveyor belt that ran into the dishwashing area of the cafeteria. And I was on my hands and knees, and I was crawling. And right as I was getting ready to go through the little, had these little flappy things that would, hang down, and the little conveyor belt would go past, and, the tray would go down through there. Right as I was getting ready to pass through there, he grabbed me by the leg and pulled me back down the conveyor belt. And the craziest thing about this dream, and I'll never forget it, is I woke up instantaneously as I'm feeling him puncture my throat. And my neck felt, I could feel pain and stuff like that, because it was so crazy when I woke up from this. And, of course, I'm screaming. My mom and dad are coming in the room to see what's wrong with me. And there's nothing. I told them, what I dreamt. And they're looking at my neck, and there's nothing wrong with my neck. There's no puncture wounds. There's nothing, there's nothing crazy going on. But it was really, really, really a scary ass dream. So that was one that stuck with me for a very, very, very long time. I always would think about that dream. Even when I was in the Army, I would think about that dream. And, the images from that dream would replay in my head way, way too often. And it's not something, it's not a pleasant thing to have going through your head.
So, my dream was kind of similar. I remember talking to you about it, all the time. So I was young too. I don't really remember how young, but it was there was a zombie apocalypse going on, and people were dying left and right, and all of us were safe, and I remember specifically you and me would fight the zombies. With AKs and machetes. I didn't even know what AKs were back then, but they were AKs. And I just remember I had watched this movie not too long before that, where it was this blue monster, and I was staying at somebody's house, and we watched that movie, and I was genuinely terrified of that. And it was a kids movie, but I was so terrified. And so there was this button in our house that you would always tell me not to touch, and it was a big red button, a huge button, and it took a lot of force to even push that button. And when the zombie apocalypse got real bad, and the zombies were getting smarter, getting in cars, running people over with them, finding a creative way to kill humans. I didn't know what to do, so I pushed the button, and monsters, vampires, the blue monster, werewolves, and shit like that, just came out of it running. And then everybody died. Like my family, everybody died but me. And then I was about to die, and then I woke up. I didn't feel no. I mean, I've had dreams where I felt pain, and I'll get to that. But I didn't feel no pain. But I was crying. It was a messed up dream.
Yeah, I have no recollection of that, but that didn't mean anything. You know, there's a lot of times on these memory cells. So
it messed me up. Like, it messed me up for years. Like,
I understand that. So the second dream that I had was also when I was a child, and this one was religious in nature, and which was so random and so out of the blue, because I talk in a few of these videos that we're working on. I talk about the fact that my mom, your granny, wasn't particularly religious at all. I mean, we didn't go to church when I was a kid. I mean, I did, just because. I mean, if no other reason, just so I could go to church camp and stuff, but my aunt, your grandfather's sister, my Aunt Mary, was a nun, was a Catholic nun, and she was very influential on my life. The art I do, pretty much because my Aunt Mary fed that. She would send me, these incredibly expensive watercolors or pens or whatever. She was always investing, and nuns don't have money, so I don't know where she would get the money to buy these really expensive gifts, but she did, and she'd send them to me. But
go in.
Yeah, super cool. And she also fed me doing music too. So she's purchased musical instruments that she would send me for Christmas or my birthday. So Aunt Mary, I love you so much. You were such an incredible human being. I was so glad that after I left the house, your grandparents' house, one summer I decided to take a train up to, or I flew into Midway, but then I took the little subway trains and stuff like that to go see my aunt. My Aunt Mary up in Chicago. She lived in the, I think, Maryland Heights of Chicago, and it was a great trip. It was a really great trip. I remember listening on my Walkman, listening to a lot of Van Halen at the time, walking around Chicago. It was cool.
Was it like the suburbs? Or was
it's probably like the equivalent of like Overland Park or something, maybe Lenexa, it was, also had some industrial stuff around there too, but yeah, Chicago's a big area, much bigger than KC. But, I was just a little bit younger than you are now when I went up there to see her. So anyway, so here I am in bed in Raymore, Missouri, laying in bed. And I think I was probably 11 years old when this occurred. And in my dream, I wake up. And I wake up because the room's so bright. And at the foot of my bed is a illuminated being that is as damn near as tall as the ceiling. And we didn't have very high ceilings at that house in Raymore, if you remember. I think there were 8-foot ceilings, or I think that sounds about right. I know I could, on my tippy toes, I can touch the ceiling. So they weren't that high, but whatever this was really close to being that high. And I couldn't make out, no facial features or anything else like that of it. It was quite simply just the humanoid outline. I could tell there's arms and legs, and it spoke to me in my head, and it showed me. It was telling me that I'm special, telling me that I'm, of these things I'm supposed to do. And it showed me this imagery of me as an old man, like much older than I am now. But you know, where I was at this outdoor picnic thing, like in like Shawnee Mission Park or something like that. And it's at a shelter, and there's all these kids running around, and there's all these adults running around. And I recognize that this is all for me. It's all for me. And then, you know, there's an old woman there too, and I recognize that this is my wife, and these are our kids and our grandkids and some of their kids, you know. So I've got great grandkids that are here, and it was so joyous, you know. It was so beautiful, and I felt so much love and all these emotions, because I knew that all these people were there, you know, for me, and they were showing me all this love, and they told me, this is not for me. This is the future that is not meant for you. And so it basically was telling me that my path would be a loner's path, to where I would be denied all the things that most people, you know, enjoy when they become adults, and that I was to basically stay the path that God wanted me on. And it wasn't clear what that path was, but it was going to be told to me, and it upset me so much that I started screaming. And my mom and dad came in the room, turned on the lights, and I tell them this story about what happened. And they just were just like looking at each other, and they were like, you know, go the fuck back to bed. You know, they didn't cuss like that, but they were, you know, my mom might have said, go to hell, back to bed, or something like that. She wasn't buying into it. But it's strange that had such an impact on me, that I felt relieved when my high school sweetheart Kathy told me that she was pregnant with your sister Stephanie. I was like relieved that dream couldn't possibly be true because of that. When you came into this world and you were with you were there, I could see you, you're with me, you know. I felt relieved because I knew that dream wasn't true. And it's like I felt guilt for intentionally defying that fate and defying that outcome. And, you know, obviously, you know, after all this time has passed, I don't think it was any more than a dream. I think it was just a crazy ass dream. But how bizarre for a young kid to have such a strange ass dream as that, you know. I know we all have strange dreams, but I just find that to be the, you know, whenever I tell the story or you know, talk about that dream, I always find it so weird that's such a strange concept for a child to be thinking about, you know. And who knows, you know, what all was behind my psychological state of mind at the time when I probably had that, you know. Who knows?
So this next one, it's like a reoccurring dream. I still have it. Like, it's happened ever since I was like 16. But it'd be this dream. I don't know who this other person is, but there's this other person in this dream, you know. He's about like shorter than me, like right here maybe. And his name is Jacob. And we would just go on walks and go to the park. And, you know, we're young. We're like 12, 11. Like an imaginary friend type shit. And so, and as this is happening more and more, I know what it's about. But when I was first 16, I didn't. So I followed a bad path in life from 14 to 17. Where a lot of that stuff could get me killed. And so right, me and Jacob, we're on this walk. I have a gun on me, and which is weird because I'm like 12, but I have a gun on me. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, what do you want to do, like, when you're older? Like, what do you think your future will be? And he was like, all I want to do is live. I was like, what do you mean by that? And he said, turn around. And it's like 6 people with guns pointed at me. Not at him, at me. And I just stopped. Get shot. A lot of times. And that's the dream where I feel pain every time. Like, in my head, in my shoulders, in my chest.
Dang.
Yeah. It fucks me up.
When's the last time you had that?
A week ago.
God. Yeah, that would drive me crazy. Well, it's funny that you bring up reoccurring dreams because I had one from 1992, late 1992 until early 1994. I didn't have it every night, but I did have it with some regularity. I know, right? And really about a year and a half, I think, is how long it really lasted. And then I've never had it since. This starts off identically the same way. And not only was it a reoccurring dream, it was a continuation dream. So it would pick off at times at different points of the timeline. It was always the same timeline. It never changed, but I would be interjected into the dream at different points of the entirety of the timeline. And it always starts off in New York. Why I'm in New York, I have no clue.
Drill City, baby.
Say again?
Drill City, baby.
The last time I was in New York, it made me nervous because of this stupid ass dream. So I'm in New York, and somehow I pick up on this, either some early, like somebody calls me, or somehow I don't know how I have the knowledge, but I enter the very beginning of this dream with the knowledge that a potential attack on New York City is imminent. And I'm down by the Port Authority, and it's crazy because I'm, here I am, and I'm, in a suit and tie and shit, and which I used to be. That's how I used to work. I mean, that's what I used to wear to work all the time. But I'm in New York, and I have this information that there could be this attack, and this is long before 9/11. And what occurs is there's a ship, like a tanker, not tanker, but a cargo ship that's coming into port, and in one of the cargo containers, the shipping containers, there's a nuke, and it goes off, and I have just enough foreknowledge of this that I'm jumped down into a not the subway, but there's these trains, like in Chicago, there are the L trains, or I think that's what they called, but they're they're not above ground. They may go up above ground, but they also dip below ground. So they're not like, you know, like in a tunnel. They're just in a trench. And there was this big gigantic metal piece that was like separating the two lanes. It was about yay thick, and it was about 5.5 feet wide and maybe 5 foot tall, 5 or 6 foot tall. And I jumped down on this track. It hurt like hell too, because I hurt my leg when I jumped down. I jumped down on the track, and then I got behind this metal piece, and I could feel the heat wave come past me, and all the debris come past me. I took off my part of my shirt and, you know, covered my face and everything, and you know, made a makeshift so I wasn't breathing, you know, all the toxins as much as possible. But I knew that, you know, this was, you know, a very, very, very bad thing. So the next thing you know, you're seeing all these fighter jets and stuff that are just going every which direction. And so I've got it in my head that I have to get the fuck back to my family. And so I start hoofing it on foot. And it's just so, even before seeing anything like, The Walking Dead or something like that, it wasn't zombies. It wasn't zombies it was demons. So it was a combination of, if the military found you, you were fucked. If the police found you, you were fucked. If just regular Joe civilian found you, you might be fucked. And so I was basically having to do stealth movement between New York City, and I worked my way south down into Pennsylvania, and worked my way through Pennsylvania. And along that way, you know, I remember there was one portion of this dream where I stumble across a guy, and it was obvious to me that he couldn't defend himself. If I wanted to take, you know, everything he had, I could have done it. But I mean, I wasn't a dick, and I wasn't in that mode of I'm gonna survive, fuck you. It wasn't anything like that. So I'm trying to help him, and I just tell him, I said, you know, whatever, we can move together, we can help each other, but, you know, I kept telling him, you got to, unless I tell you it's okay, don't say a word. Don't say a word. Don't make a sound unless I tell you it's okay to do so. So we would hide in these buildings, and we would see patrols, and we move around some stuff. And I was with this guy for a while, and then I'm going down this embankment towards this river, and we're spotted, and, you know, I lost him. You know, I wasn't about to get caught myself, so I lost him. And so this entire dream is this trek trying to get across the United States and try to avoid being captured. And it was all this escape and evade type things, you know, of seeing tanks, and then seeing, you know, these bat-like things at night, you know, flying around looking for people. And it was just the craziest thing. And you know, I used to tell my girlfriend at the time about them, you know, every time I'd wake up from one, and say, you're never gonna believe this, I'm still having that same crazy ass dream. And yeah, and then just one day it just kind of went away. It never concluded. It never got to a point where I got back to Missouri or Kansas City area. The closest I got was Ohio, and I have no clue what transpired from that. I've always wanted to have the conclusion of that dream, but it's just never escaped me. I did think it would make one hell of a movie if I could ever, you know, get that all written out, you know.
Yeah.
But those are all mine. Those are the ones that I recall. You got any more?
Yeah, but let me say something about that.
Okay, sure.
So the start of it sounds like I played Modern Warfare 2, and they do the same thing with like cargo ships.
Really?
Like missiles, yes, and literally New York City. One was about to hit New York.
Oh shit, that's
wild.
wild.
That's the craziest thing. But yeah, I was like, damn. But yours is a lot crazier. A lot crazier. Because we in Call of Duty, you get the missile controls and you stop it. You basically have yourself detonate in the air. It's not a nuke.
Oh,
It's just a
yeah.
missile. And demons, that's wild. I didn't really have a third off the top of my head, but you mentioned demons. So, I'll say the one that I had about demons. So, this was like 2 years ago, which is ironic because that's when I was watching this anime called Demon Slayer, my favorite anime. And so it was like a real life version of that, but like a lot weirder. Like the samurais, because we were in Japan, the samurais would like cut people's heads off and drink their blood for stamina, like stuff like that. But we weren't, like, they weren't vampires. We weren't vampires. Because I did the same thing. I mean, I was in Japan all the time. I had to, apparently. I don't think I would have if I was in real life. So we would drink blood for stamina, which was the wildest thing for me. Like, stamina. Stamina? Why stamina? Why not speed or strength? Stuff. Why stamina? I never got it, and I never would. And so, in Demon Slayer, Tanjiro has a demon sister that, helps out, like, doesn't attack. I forgot why they would show you why, but I didn't have anything like that. It was just a group of samurais. The Yakuza was there. I think I'm saying it right. The Yakuza, like the Japanese mob. The Yakuza was there, and there was demons, and there was demons in the Yakuza. There was demons in Japanese military, and demons in the Japanese like Congress. The Japanese president. I don't know how they actually do the things, but it was a president for me. The Japanese president was a demon, and so us samurai, our responsibility is to take care of all the demons from country to country, and we started in Japan and we made our way all the way to the U.S.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and continuation. That's also where is similar. But why it messed me up was because like my mom, she was a demon, and at all costs, take care of demons.
Damn.
So at the end, I swung my sword, and I don't know who it was, but it was strong enough to take out one of the strongest swords that had fire coming out of it. Grabbed it midair. I don't know if it was God, the devil, but it grabbed it midair and snapped it in half, and used the part of it to stab me in the neck. Yeah, and I woke up.
That's crazy.
And that's when the dream stopped. Like, I would have it like every 3 days. Like, it was fucking insane.
So there's a drug that I take for my back. I've been prescribed it now. I've had this thing prescribed for, God, I don't know, 6-7 years, something like that. I don't know, but gabapentin, which is a great yeah. So let me tell you about gabapentin and dreams. It doesn't last, but when you first start taking it, and there's been times when since I've been taking this, where depression would creep in and I would just not take it, and then I would have times where I just would multiple days forget to, which is dumb, but anyway, so if I would go through when I first started taking it, I mean, I would have, and I don't recall any of these dreams, I just remember them being wild as fuck. I mean, crazy, like acid dream type, acid trip type dreams. Yeah. When I first started taking it, and then if I go through periods of time, like let's say if I stop taking it for a week and I start taking it again, at least that first night, it's on, and so it's always kind of like makes me wonder, am I dreaming like this every night I'm on this shit and I just don't remember it? Because my goodness gracious, it's a workout.
Was it for pain? Was the gabapentin for pain?
It's just, honestly, son, it's probably one of the only ways I can sleep without Lunesta or some kind of other sleep thing. Otherwise I just won't sleep. And it's just because of the nature of where this disc is torn in my lower back. It's miserable. Well, anywho, so we hope everybody enjoyed listening to those stories of those crazy ass dreams, and we hope you have some pleasant dreams tonight. It's very strange out there, so keep it weird.
Keep it weird.
We'll see you guys.